Something major just happened, and it's going to impact a lot of people. But chances are, it's not being explained as clearly and directly as it should be. President Trump has just secured a huge victory in the Supreme Court. This isn't just a political win. It's legal, structural, and potentially historic. One piece of the ruling could even shift how birthright citizenship works in the U.S., at least for the time being. But that's not where the impact ends. This decision affects the power of the courts, the scope of presidential authority, and how individual rights might vary based on where you live. This isn't abstract. If you're a parent, a senior, an immigrant, or just someone who cares about which laws the government can enforce, this is a big deal. So if you want a clear picture of what changed, what it means, and what might come next, keep watching. We'll break it down in plain terms. Before we get started, I'd love to know your take. Should courts have the ability to block a president's policy nationwide? Or should that power be more limited? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're into straightforward, drama-free breakdowns, hit that subscribe button. Here's the deal. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that federal district courts can't issue nationwide injunctions unless it's part of a certified class action lawsuit. Sounds technical, right? It is, but it has real consequences. This means lower courts have lost one of their most powerful tools to stop presidential executive orders from being implemented nationwide. Here's the effect. Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship can now be enforced in 28 states. Why? Because those states weren't part of the legal challenges trying to stop the order. Let's unpack that. For over 150 years, U.S. law has held that anyone born on American soil is a citizen, even if their parents aren't citizens. This stems from the 14th Amendment, passed after the Civil War and reinforced by an 1898 Supreme Court ruling involving a child born to Chinese immigrants. So when Trump signed an executive order denying citizenship to children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants, or even foreign nationals without green cards, it was challenged in court immediately. Judges in states like Maryland and Washington called it unconstitutional and blocked it with nationwide injunctions. But under the new ruling, those injunctions don't stretch beyond the states involved in the lawsuit. So, if you live in a state that didn't take part in the legal case, the policy can be enforced there. That means a child born in California might be a citizen, while a child born in Arizona might not be. Same day, same country, different outcomes. That's the kind of legal uncertainty we're now facing. And this isn't just about birthright citizenship. The ruling opens the door for other stalled executive orders to move forward. Think voter ID laws, education mandates, targeting diversity programs, even policies to withhold federal funding from states that don't align with administration priorities. These are real, not theoretical. Now, to be clear, the Supreme Court didn't say these executive orders are legal, but it did change the rules about how fast and how broadly courts can block them. That gives the executive branch, especially under Trump, much more room to act without being shut down right away. There are two big viewpoints here. Supporters of the ruling say it restores balance. One local judge shouldn't have the power to block a president's policy for the entire nation. They argue it prevents courts from becoming unelected super legislators. Trump called it a win for the Constitution. But critics, including liberal justices, say this weakens civil rights protections. Justice Sonia Sotomayor gave a rare oral dissent, warning that unconstitutional policies shouldn't be allowed to stand just because certain states didn't sue. Her argument, some rights should be universal, not limited to people who happen to live where a lawsuit was filed. And she's got a point. Courts shouldn't have unchecked power, sure, But people also shouldn't be penalized just because of where they live. So this is really about the tension between legal process and basic fairness. Then there's the question of what comes next. Right now, the Trump administration hasn't explained how this citizenship change will be implemented. Will hospitals verify immigration status? Will babies born in certain states be denied Social Security numbers or passports? No clear answers yet. Officials have said the details will be worked out over time. But in the meantime, things are murky. Some nonprofits are already preparing to file new class action lawsuits. Others warn of a chaotic legal landscape where state-by-state enforcement leads to confusion and inequality. Why is this happening now? Partly because Congress hasn't updated or clarified these rules. So we've ended up with executive orders, court challenges, and major power struggles. And now the rules of that legal tug-of-war have changed. This ruling could ripple into healthcare, education, voting access, you name it. If a single court can't halt a national policy anymore, then those policies can start taking effect before courts even finish reviewing them. So what does this mean for you? Even if you're not directly affected by the citizenship order, this decision could shape future policies in your state. Maybe it's a new voter ID law. Maybe it's a change to Medicaid or school funding. Maybe it's not an issue yet, but it will be soon, once the same legal logic is applied elsewhere. That's why this matters. It's not just about one policy. It's about the legal structure of how power works in America. And when that structure shifts, everything else becomes vulnerable. Yes, it's a heavy topic, but it's also crucial. If you've seen changes happening in your area, or if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I read them and respond when I can. Your story could help someone else. And if you found this breakdown helpful, share it with someone who'd want a clear explanation. It's hard to find that in today's headlines. This isn't the end of the fight over birthright citizenship, not even close. But the battlefield just changed. And what happens next could surprise you. Be sure to subscribe so we can track it together. There's more coming.